Welcome to another video. In today's videos, we're going to talk about a powerful tip, trick, technique that recruiters hate, but it works. It's all related to interview scheduling. So let's just dive in. So I'm going to cover two scenarios. The first one is a classic scenario where, wow, you have that dream interview booked, or the interview for your dream or target company booked, but you don't feel ready. There isn't enough time. You have this question: should I reschedule? And I get a lot of questions from people on the Discord. Should I reschedule? Does it look bad if I reschedule? Will they ban me from interviewing with them? So on and so forth. And the truth is, actually, rescheduling is a normal thing. Candidates often have, one classic example, just to put you at ease, candidates often have existing jobs, and if something comes up at work and they can't turn up for an interview, then they have no choice, and companies want talented employees to join them, so they make accommodations. So rescheduling is actually common and normal. You just have to give a good reason. But the other perspective I actually want to put as well, if you do not feel ready, especially if you're going for a competitive role, the scenario is pretty much this. Option one, so if you look at the side, we have this wall, which is pretty much like you're crashing into the wall, guaranteed failure. I say guaranteed, but the way I'll phrase it is the chances of failing are very high. These competitive tech jobs, by definition, competitive, they're high paying, right? A lot of people want to do them. So there's a lot of talented people going for the same opportunities. And the bar is very high. If you don't meet the bar, you're not getting in. It's just that simple. So if you're not ready, even just from your own subjective assessment, the best option to reschedule, the way to phrase it is fail with a high probability or reschedule. With your reschedule, you have a chance. You give yourself more time, more room to level up. Another question you might have is, how do I know if I'm ready? That's a totally different question. It's not the focus of this video, but a quick answer is get yourself assessed. Like on the Coditioning platform, so Coditioning.com, we do coached mock sessions, we do diagnostic mock sessions, we do mock interviews. We have diagnostic tests you can do offline. You can use all this to get data and have a data-driven way to assess your readiness. But a good way to tell if you're ready is, for example, you do, let's say, 10 mock interviews. They don't all have to be paid or professional. You can do some peer mocks, but ideally as many realistic professionals as much as possible. And if you're passing, 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 10, I mean you're getting a strong higher or higher verdict. And maybe the ones you don't do so well, maybe you get a lean higher, or maybe you even get a reject, but the interview question was a bit unfair, or some other factor out of your control, then that's a good sign that you're ready. So, first scenario, if you're not ready for an interview, don't feel pressured to go ahead, reschedule, so that you actually have an opportunity to pass. There is an exception, there's an edge case, and it's where maybe for some reason the window for the opportunity is closing. In that case, then the option to reschedule doesn't really exist, right? Because there's no further time. So it's really just, okay, I don't feel ready, so I'm probably going to fail, but I can actually take advantage of this experience and learn from it. Maybe learn something new, get interviewing experience for free. So the mentality with which you go into is a bit different, and you don't put so much pressure on yourself. You probably perform better than if you're under pressure, right? So first scenario covered. Let's talk about another scenario. And this is where you're about to book your interview for the first time. And this is classic. The interviewer asks you how much time you need when, give date. And you give a date that's let's say 5 weeks away. But the interviewer then says, actually, that's too far away. You need to do it in 3 weeks or something like that. So less time, right? But you, at that point in time, probably don't even know how much time you need. Let's just say you didn't know how much time you need. You needed 5 weeks. But interviewers, the recruiter, is putting you under pressure to kind of do the interview faster. They have different incentives. They're trying to get as many people to do as many interviews in whatever time frame, and maybe that increases the chances. Maybe they're playing a numbers game. The more people that do an interview, the more chances it is that maybe someone would clear it. So they're kind of doing a numbers game. But from your perspective, you're acting in your interest. You want to make sure you have enough time to be ready. So if you ever find yourself in that scenario, you need 5 weeks, but the recruiter is kind of pushing for 3 or something less, that's insufficient. What you can do is just try and negotiate the furthest you can. If the furthest is if they say 3, maybe you say 3.5, right? And this is assuming the recruiter isn't telling you that the opportunity closes on a certain day, just to be clear. So yeah, you say 3.5, right? But your intent is actually to still reschedule down the line. You just don't let the recruiter know. You just, appease them, get that interview booked, maybe 2 weeks. Take some time, right? Assess what you need to learn, what you need to know, how much time you need. And by the way, if you ever need help in doing that assessment, how much time you need, again, you can talk to a Coditioning coach on Coditioning.com. We can help you. But you can take that time, do the analysis, see how much time you need, and see if the time you have is enough, right? If it's not enough, all you have got to do is reschedule. The key thing about rescheduling is just you have to give a good reason. Now, it's pretty much just like equivalent of a snooze button and alarms. The key thing about the excuses you give or the reason for your rescheduling has to be such that you don't close the existing interviewing opportunity. So you have an interview booked for a certain date. When you're trying to get a reschedule, you don't go say, I can't make this date, because you don't want to close the opportunity. You want to say something like, I can still make this, booked date, but for XYZ reason, it'll make my life much easier if I can do it on this date, right? So you keep what you have, and then try to see if you can get a new slot. If you can't get a new slot, then you still go ahead with what you have. So this is the advice I give our customers, and it works. So far, it works every time, right? Again, the edge cases where the interview date is not movable because maybe there's a closing date for the role or something. So except for those kind of obvious edge cases, just in general, this is strongly recommended and it works. Let's talk about some good excuses that you can give when you make your request to reschedule. Actually, before I dive into that, if you're enjoying this video or any of our old videos, you find them valuable, hit the subscribe button. Helps us with the YouTube algorithm, helps get our messages out there to help others. It just helps our channel grow and just encourages us to keep doing what we're doing, because we know that it's helping people. But yeah, hit that subscribe button. Okay, so good excuses. So the first thing is, for some companies, Meta is a good example. Within a certain time frame from your interview, so let's say maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I don't know the exact number, you can actually auto reschedule. Just click a button and it happens. But most of the time you find you have to talk to the recruiter. Maybe it's an email, maybe it's a phone call. Good excuses that work. Obviously, if you're ill, you have a health challenge, a health emergency for a family member or something, of course that's a valid excuse. Most humans will understand that and be understanding. If you wake up, if you're kind of ill, you have a really bad headache or high temperature, fever, whatever, this is a fair excuse. And one could be you have an existing job and something came out of work. Maybe now you're on call because something happened to your colleague. Maybe they had to take time off, or who knows. You're on call and you can't guarantee that you'll be able to attend the interview because maybe some production issue comes up. Of course, that's a good reason as well. You're personally ill. I guess that's still the same as the first point, which was about health. But this is more like, even on the interview day or the day before, if you wake up ill, you can still go ahead and reschedule. It's not your fault. I mean, let's take it back. If you happen to be ill, I guess the key distinction in this case I want to give is you want to give the best version of yourself. So you can just let them know, I have a terrible headache, I have this fever, I have XYZ. I'm not going to be able to put my best foot forward today. If I turn up, I'll probably struggle to get through the interview round because of this illness. You're going to go see a doctor or something, but can they kind of push the date to XYZ date? You're still interested in the opportunity, you're quite keen, it's your dream company, dream role, this kind of things. One thing I just want to stress is, I'm talking about good excuses. I probably should have titled this good reasons. I'm not asking you to lie. I'm just telling you what are valid reasons that you share so that recruiter will be understanding. If you just say you need more time to study, a recruiter might push back and not agree. So just FYI, these are the reasons that work. So if you're not aware, we have a platform, Coditioning.com, pretty much a one-stop shop for everything you need to get interview ready and land those offers. We optimize your chances because we identify all your weaknesses, your gaps in knowledge, in interviewing skills, and whatever it is that would cost you an interview, and we identify that before the interview so you don't waste the opportunities. We have this Coditioning 360 service I just want to quickly demo. But it's like the most popular service we have, and it's really helping a lot of people. So I'll just talk to you about it very quickly. So on the Coditioning platform, we offer quite a lot of features. I'm just going to talk about our mock interview service because it's quite unique. We also have AI mock interviews, by the way. So if you go on our platform, you can see the URL on the screen. We have a mock interview page where you can easily book. You see testimonials from customers who've been successful through different processes, Amazon, Meta, Reddit, and so on. We help with all domain, system design, coding, behavioral, and so on. And we have different packages. So the 360 service is the one I was highlighting. Essentially, handhold you through your interview process, end-to-end guidance. So far, we've had a 100% success rate for candidates who've done at least 3 sessions, because we have enough data points to uncover your gaps in your knowledge, interviewing skills, and guide you. There's also offline support. We have a private Slack server. You have direct access to a coach who's going to be an experienced FAANG Plus senior engineer. Have a look through all the features. I don't want to bore you, but it's very easy to book. You choose your target company and just go through the motion. You can see the testimonials. We help with production and software engineering at the moment. Coming soon, we'll have support for machine learning and data engineering once we have suitable coaches to help you. But be sure to explore the whole site. There's loads of features, and hopefully you found this video useful. See you in the next one.